Previously on Perspective is Everything. Heaven is symbolism for the brain, the mind, in which he, Jacob, met God. The wings on an angel? Well, it's symbolism for the brain, a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere of the brain. Hence, two wings, two sections positioned on either side of the body. Again, the word angels translates meaning messenger. What are the messengers? Well, for that, I'd like to introduce you to the body's endocrine messenger system. So what are the angels? Well, they're symbolism for the hormones that are released from heaven, the brain, down into earth, the body. It's time we give credit to where credit is due. I'm going to first begin with the past and then discuss the present version of the endocrine messenger system. What I'm about to reveal to you is what I believe is a first depiction in ancient artifacts, or at least has been shared to the general public. I say what I believe because I've yet to hear anyone else offer this theory that I'm about to share and offer you to hear today. So in some ways, this is world-breaking news I'm here to share with the family. I'd like to introduce you to what is known as the ancient Sumerian depiction of the Tree of Life. I'd like to introduce you to what is known as the ancient Sumerian depiction of the Tree of Life. From my perspective, the bigger illustration of this depiction is actually symbolism of the endocrine messenger system, as well as the functions of the human anatomy. As I've said, many have offered their theories on the illustration being depicted. Some say this is an ancient source of electricity. Others say it's a tree of life from the events of Adam and Eve in the garden. I won't debate these theories, as I do believe there is truth in them, which I do support. However, I'm now going to offer a view of the bigger and more complete illustration of the items being symbolized in this picture. In this tree of life is what we've already discussed to be Luz, a tree-like almond of bone with spine, the spinal column, the vertebrae of humanity, the backbone of life. It is also encoded with sacred geometry that has been used by humanity to design and build other structures, which include the Egyptian jet and other engineering marvels that still used today. I'll provide more evidence on this as we further along in this series. This is also where the idea of the Christmas tree originates from, again, which is Luz, a tree-like almond with spine. I'll do a separate video on that at a later date on the symbolism of the Christ tree, or better known as the Christ mass tree. Mass referring to the English definition meaning a large body of matter, a large number of people, an assembly into a mass or one body, humanity. The Tree of Life is also a fundamental symbolism in many of the world's mythological, religious, and philosophical traditions. It is closely related to the concept of the sacred tree, the tree of knowledge connecting to heaven and the underworld, earth, the mind, and the body. The tree of knowledge of good and evil, referred to in the Old Testament book of Genesis, and the tree of life connecting all forms of creation. Both are forms of the world tree or cosmic tree and are portrayed in various religions, philosophies as the same tree, Luz, but also referred to various different names by other cultures and religions. Also want to be very clear, I'm not suggesting Luz is the first or only correct name, as there are many different ways to describe an object, being tomato or tomato, or also by saying, I call this particular item a wrench or spanner. The Sumerian depiction of Tree of Life is also included in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Within this amazing illustration is also a depiction of the coiled serpent. The serpent is not only a reference to the animal, the snake, but rather the energy, the electricity that moves throughout the universe in a serpentine-like movement. This is also one of the first depiction of wing-like beings. The symbolism of the brain, which if you look closely, each of the characters with wings are positioned on either side of the tree. This represents each hemisphere of the brain, a left and a right. The winged creatures are also holding what looks to be handbags. The handbags, in my opinion, are symbolism of the angels, messengers, delivering life into the tree. The source of information from the brain, which is what modern science refers to as hormones, chemical messengers, moving forward into the kings of men in front of them, while also passing a pine cone forward. The pine cone is symbolism for information, but also the pineal gland. The pineal gland being the symbol of light, information being spoken into the minds of the kings of men, information being sent down from the eternal Father in heaven, within the mind. There is also a wing-like symbol in the center of the tree with a character being depicted facing towards the right. This, in my opinion, is a symbolism of the Son of Man, seated at the right hand of God, the Father in heaven, the brain, which this aligns with the human anatomy, as the pineal gland is located in the hypothalamus near the center of the brain, between the two hemispheres, tucked in a groove where the two halves of the thalamus join. Thus, the Son of Man, high and lifted up. The scriptures in the Bible records John 3:14-15. Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, which is energy, so shall the Son of Man must be lifted up, that everyone who believes may have eternal life in him. I'm sure it's probably the first time many of you have heard that verse in the book of John. It's interesting that you haven't heard it before, because the very next verse reads, the infamous, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life." Again, the tree of life. I understand what I'm sharing with you may be a lot to comprehend. I also want to point out that even though it might sound that I'm speaking in literal, straightforward concepts in English, I'm actually not. These passages, as well as others in the biblical stories and ancient scriptures, are spoken and written in code. This story has not been told this way before, yet I still must share it, as I believe this perspective is necessary to view the bigger picture. I also believe many are ready to hear it, and so I'll carry on. This esoteric symbolism is of what modern science refers to as known as the body's endocrine messenger system. The messenger hormones being delivered into the kings of men down through the tree of life, Luz, the spine, the 7 chakras, the 7 churches, which in the context of Jacob and House Israel as Jacob's ladder. In ancient Sumerian culture, the tree of life was a symbol that represented the interconnectedness of all life, fertility, growth, and divine order. It was also depicted as a sacred tree or plant, which held significance in Sumerian mythology, art, and religious practices. Trees in Sumerian mythology are connected to gods associated with fertility, growth, and renewal. This sacred tree is one of the big secrets that's being withheld from humanity. This same tree is what is alive in the foundational structure in our bodies, the foundational structure in the temple of the living God. This is the house of God, which Jacob referred to as Bethel. This will all begin to start making more sense to you now that I travel forward from the past to the current versions of the endocrine messenger system, as well as the riddle of House Israel. The endocrine messenger system is made up of glands that produce and secrete hormones into the bloodstream. Hence, once again, the winged beings passing information forward into the kings of men, then into the tree of life. These hormones, angels, or chemical messengers, in modern medical terms, is what carries information and instructions from one set of cells to another. The endocrine system influences almost every cell, organ, and function in the body. Hormone signals information ascending and descending throughout the body, Earth. The signals are like messengers, messengers from heaven, the brain, ascending and descending from heaven, earth, to the body. Which means by now, if you've been following me in this series, within this multi-dimensional symbolism, the physical house is the body, which Jacob is symbolism for the human body, the house. Israel is symbolism for the spirit, the metaphysical, the energy, the life force living within Jacob, the body. Israel is also symbolism for the life's journey of the one within us, the spirit that we need to find and get to know. Know thyself, know thy purpose. If you've watched my prior video on the Caduceus, the rod of Asclepius, you've overheard my conversation with Jay on my amazement on how incredible the house of Israel is. I initially thought it was a 2-story house, but it's so amazing that words can't fully describe its beauty and all the family members that live in this amazing house. Again, multi-dimensional symbolism of the physical, spiritual, and metaphysical aspects of universal forces and the elements that are utilized to create the body. So within this house, there is an endocrine messenger system, which consists of glands such as the pineal gland, which pineal referring to the pine cone, which is how modern science pronounces it today, or pineal, which is how the ancients pronounced it and my preferred spelling. The Hebrew letters PE means mouth and refers to the power of speech. And once again, L is shorthand for God, Elohim. So to put it together, a place where you speak, where God speak, this is consciousness. Pineal was the second place where Jacob encountered seeing God once he ascended into heaven. For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Jacob wrestled within himself and found peace. He wrestled against his thoughts. He focused within himself, keeping his thoughts clean and pure by wrestling against his emotions. Thus, he recognized the living God within himself and no longer lived his life being led by his emotions of the flesh. Hence, which is why when Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place," I was even aware of it. No longer is thy name Jacob, for now your name is Israel. The pineal gland is a wonderfully made tiny endocrine gland in the middle of our brain, which is also responsible for regulating the body's circadian rhythm by secreting the hormone melatonin. The hormone melatonin provides a rhythm for the entire orchestra of the body. Melatonin, an amber honey-like substance, is a hormone in the body that plays a role in sleep. This is where in the scriptures recorded in Genesis 28 verse 11 saying, "At sundown, Jacob arrived at a good place to set up camp and stopped there for the night. Jacob found a stone to rest his head against and lay down asleep." The stone which Jacob rested his head against is symbolism for the pineal gland. If you've watched my prior video, Jacob, Thy Name is Israel, the body and soul of humanity, you will have already heard me speak in depth on the pineal gland and its symbolism throughout numerous ancient religions and cultures across the globe. If you haven't, I highly recommend watching the video. I've unpacked there a lot regarding the pineal gland. Also in the endocrine messenger system is the pituitary gland, which produces prolactin, a milk-like substance. Where have we heard that before? Amber like honey and milk. Think about it for a second. I promise you, you will land on this meaning. But I have to tell you, I've been waiting for a very long time with excitement to talk to you about the pituitary gland. For far too long, the symbolism of the pituitary gland has been kept hidden and unrecognized. Again, it's a new day and a new season, and it's time to see the beauty. So folks, I'd like to introduce you to Mother. The pituitary gland, often referred to by the ancients as the mother, the lead gland, or in modern medical terms, the master gland. The pituitary gland, mother, plays a central role in regulating the endocrine system by controlling various other glands in the body. It's located at the base of the brain, just below the hypothalamus. The mother, the pituitary gland, works very closely with the hypothalamus, which receives information from the nervous system and sends signals to the pituitary to release or inhibit hormones accordingly. Through this collaboration, the pituitary gland plays a key role in regulating bodily functions, including growth, metabolism, stress response, reproduction, and fluid balance, keeping the body in balance. Fluid balance, huh? Very fascinating. I'll come back to this little Easter egg at a later time. The pituitary gland, the mother, releases growth hormone, GH, which is crucial for growth in children and helps maintain muscle mass, bone density, and metabolism in adults. The mother also secretes prolactin, a hormone primarily involved in stimulating breast milk production in postpartum women. After childbirth, prolactin promotes milk production in the mammary glands. By releasing prolactin, the mother, the pituitary gland, regulates reproductive functions by influencing sex hormone levels, which are estrogen in women and testosterone in men. In males, the testes produce testosterone, which is crucial for sperm production and the development of male characteristics. In females, the reproductive cycle is driven by hormones which regulate the menstrual cycle, ovulation, and pregnancy. The pituitary gland signals the ovaries to release an egg each month in preparation for fertilization. So yes, the mother, the pituitary gland, such a wonderfully made and critical role the pituitary gland has in all of our lives. It's positioned below and outside of the pineal gland, which the pineal gland is located in the center of the brain, enclosed in darkness within the temporal lobe, the temple of the brain. So if I could illustrate a really quick picture for you here, what's happening, what we're seeing is the Son of Man enclosed in darkness in the tomb with the mother positioned outside waiting. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. I may lose you, so I have to remain on topic. I promise you I'll come back at a later time to discuss more on the pituitary gland and the mother and its hidden symbolism throughout ancient scriptures. But for now, back to the endocrine messenger system. Also included in the endocrine messenger system is the hypothalamus, which is located below the thalamus and above the brainstem. The hypothalamus acts as a critical link between these two systems, controlling the pituitary gland and influencing both endocrine and neural functions. The endocrine system also controls metabolism through hormones such as thyroid and hormones T3 and T4. These hormones, messengers, angels from heaven, are what regulates how our body uses energy and insulin, which manages blood sugar levels. It does this by balancing the breakdown and storage of energy. The endocrine system ensures that cells receive the nutrients they need to function properly. To maintain balance throughout the body, the endocrine messenger system utilizes positive and negative feedback loops, which is the symbolism as the scriptures records in Genesis 28 verse 12, saying, "And Jacob saw the angels of God going up and down the stairway." Negative feedback loops, which are the primary mechanism of hormone regulation, is to maintain hormone levels within a certain range or set point by reducing hormone production once optimum levels are reached. Positive feedback loops are what are designed to amplify and intensify hormone production until a certain or specific outcome is achieved. So as you can see by now, the endocrine system is indispensable. Also, please keep in mind This is just a very high level overview of the endocrine system, as there are many more functions involved. But the question is, though, what does it look like when the endocrine system isn't functioning properly? Let me say this. You may be surprised, but maybe not, by the number of things around us in our daily lives that are endocrine disruptors. RJ, let's take it back from the top again. Wait, I got it. We gotta get the band back together. Yes, the band. I see the lights. You see it too? No, not those lights. The lights. Yes, it was in that movie. Wait, speaking of movie, great idea to leave this on so the family could hear us. You know what, Jay? You were right. It is very insightful for them to hear our conversations. We're always on the same page, Jay. Speaking of which, what do you think about those character names in that movie? Jake and Elwood. Huh, like we haven't heard those before, huh? Jake. Elwood sounds like a tree to me. What do you think about that scene where they perform the miracle for those two band members to get back in by ordering 4 whole chickens and dry white toast? Hilarious, isn't it, right? Like we haven't heard that miracle before, fish and bread. Yes, but you were in a band too. I know, you were the conductor and Mom was the lead. Man, Mom, she's amazing. Guess what? I'm actually talking to the family about Mom in this video. There's so much Mom has done that I think it's time for everybody to know. We're gonna tell them about it. Speaking of this band, weren't you in a 12-member band before? Yes. They had Stones in their band. You know what? We're gonna talk about that one. I say in about 2 to 3 videos, we're gonna share that band. That's a big band. That was a big band. But you know what? We gotta get the big band back together. Anyway, wait, before you go on to that, what do you think about sharing with the family about this symbolism? Amazing, isn't it? What a beautiful instrument. I know. I think they'll get it. Anyways, hey, let's get back to rehearsal. We're on a mission from God. We gotta get that band back together, right? The big one. What are endocrine disruptors? Well, there are chemicals that interfere with the body's endocrine system. They block the messenger signals, the angels of God descending from heaven down to earth, the body. When this occurs, it leads to violence on the earth, the body, leading to adverse health effects by mimicking or blocking natural hormones, the angels, the messengers from the brain. These substances are found in many everyday foods, our household products, and personal care items. They're so common that the sources are all around us. These common sources of endocrine disruptors are a very long list. So what I'm about to share with you, please keep in mind, is a short list and not the complete list. The list includes parabens, which are found in cosmetics, shampoos, lotions, deodorants, and other personal products as preservatives. Parabens mimic estrogen in the body, which may contribute to hormonal imbalances and have been linked to breast cancer and reproductive health issues. Also on the list are per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. A mouthful, I know. It goes by the acronym PFAs, which have been found in non-stick cookware like Teflon, stain-resistant fabrics, water-resistant clothing, and some food packaging like microwave popcorn bags. PFAs have been linked to thyroid issues, hormone disruption, immune system impairment, and certain cancers. Also on the list are BPAs, which have been found in plastic containers, water bottles, canned food linings, receipts, and certain dental sealants. BPAs mimic estrogen and can interfere with reproductive health, brain development, and metabolism. Some research has linked it to conditions such as obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. Also on this list are flame retardants, found in our furniture, mattresses, electronics, and other household items with fire-retardant coatings. Disruptions in hormone production or function can lead to various endocrine disorders such as diabetes, a condition characterized by high blood sugar due to inadequate insulin production, which is type 1, or insulin resistance, type 2. To minimize the exposure, it's recommended by health experts to opt for organic and hormone-free foods when possible. Choose glass and stainless steel or silicone containers for food storages instead of plastic. Avoid heating food in plastic containers, as heating can release harmful chemicals. Read the labels on personal care and cleaning products and avoid items with parabens and other elements like BPAs that are chemicals that you wish to avoid. Use water and air filters to reduce contaminants in your drinking water and indoor air. By now, going through this short list, you might be saying like I have, it's so challenging to eliminate all these exposures for endocrine disruptors. I mean, if you go to any supermarket or any department store, they're literally on every aisle, every shelf, all around us. Which, in my opinion, the goal in the bigger mission is for humanity to collectively put our bodies, the one body, collectively humanity, above all material wealth. We must all come together and let our voices be heard by supporting organizations and products that puts the eternal body over money and material wealth. That said, by now, you might also be asking yourself like I did, how in the world are the scriptures written in such a manner describing the human anatomy? Why were so many things written in code and secret about our bodies? Who wrote the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Dream Tablets? Why is such a vital system of our bodies and the endocrine messenger system described as a parable in relation to Jacob's ladder? Angels ascending and descending from heaven to earth. Is heaven really in some mystical distant dimension as the current narrative wants us to believe? And furthermore, how does the medical and pharmaceutical industry, along with the World Health Organization, know of its connections to ancient scriptures by utilizing the caduceus and the rod of Asclepius as their foundational symbol? If there are health experts that are aware of all this information from the ancient past and the positive and negative effects it has on our bodies, then why in the world are there so many things around us created specifically and chemically designed to disrupt our signals, our angels, our messengers from heaven, the brain? Or is it possible we're all just playing one giant game of telephone and nobody knows what's actually going on? If this is the question you're asking yourself, then you're on the right track, because that's exactly where I am. Why and for what purpose have the scriptures not been revealed to humanity? Why does it seem as if we're all slowly being fed poison to harm our hormone signal systems? Well, if you're ready to hear my opinion, I'm ready to say it. The goal for thousands of years have been to hide from humanity the truth about God. That we are all gods living within the flesh, in the physical. We are the Word made flesh, the thought. The God that lives inside of all of us, the Spirit. This entire reality is an experience of thought, the mind. If humanity doesn't see itself as a version of God, we are all then easily manipulated and controlled into believing the only way that we can be saved is if something outside of us saves us. Something from another dimension must return and save us. To believe we have been created incomplete and incapable of creating a reality here to save ourselves. creating a reality here of heaven. The ancient scriptures symbolize heaven as the top, the brain, and earth, the body, the soil. We must all keep the house of God clean, in my opinion. We must all keep our temples clean. Again, my opinion. You have your choice. You may not choose to do this. Again, I'm only here to share my perspective. By now, you probably already figured out that the stairs that the angels were ascending and descending on wasn't actually the Stairmaster 5000. I know, as funny as it sounds, that wasn't the dream that Jacob was dreaming about. You want to know what the stairs are? Well, there is symbolism for the vertebrae in the spinal column, 33 to be exact. I want you to keep that number in mind because there's a very important character later to come that is connected to that number. I'll circle, or should I say, I'll see you in Galilee for that video. Also remember when I said earlier in this series, the Gilgamesh dream, events of Jacob's dream of a ladder, are one of the most complex parables in ancient scriptures. So complex that the parables are encoded with multi-dimensional symbolisms with esoteric teachings of the physical, spiritual, and metaphysical aspects of universal forces. Well, we've only just discussed the physical aspects of Jacob's ladder being the spinal column. So let me take inventory for a really quick minute. So far in this series, I've discussed with you the caduceus, the rod of Asclepius, also known as the rod that Moses carried up into Egypt. The rod that travels from the base of the sacrum that starts at Beersheba, the well of 7 seals, and travels up towards Haran, the mountain. Amazing, isn't it? Such depth of information, and guess what? There is still a whole lot more left in this riddle for me to uncover. There is one more stop on this ladder that we need to discuss before I reveal to you the descendants that are numerous as the dust of the earth. The next stop is a spiritual ladder, and a personal favorite of mine, and one that many have already probably heard of before. I'm referring to the infamous, the Kundalini, the 7 chakras known in Hinduism, or the 7 seals or the 7 churches known in the Bible. Oh, and just in case to those that are concerned that this is some all New Age religion when hearing the name the Kundalini, let me put your concerns at ease. The name Kundalini comes from the Sanskrit meaning circle or coiled like a serpent. Again, the serpentine movement of energy. So, yes, folks, we're going to venture east and cast thy nets to the right side to catch fish. 153 to be exact, exactly like the disciples caught on their journey with Christ. Oh, and I completely forgot to mention this. With just coming out and saying everything. When Jacob got up early the next morning, he took the stone, the pineal gland, that he rested his head against, setting it upright as a memorial pillar. He poured oil all over it. He anointed it. Jay, what up, son? My man. Hey, I was just talking to the family here and just sharing with them the next video that we're going to talk about. The Kundalini. Yeah, I was telling them about the Kundalini that we're going to talk about in the next video. Venturing east, I know. Interesting, right? Where did people get this idea of actually going physically east on the map was going to reveal to them spirituality? A lot we got to clear up there then. We're always on the same page. Yeah, I mentioned we got to cast our nets to the right side to catch 153. Ready to hear it? What do you say, folks? You guys are ready to hear it? Ready to raise the rod just like Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness? You think you're ready to see the beauty? I think you are. It's time. It's time for a new perspective. Because like I always say, perspective, it's everything. It truly is. So, please like, comment, and share this video. Please leave your thoughts. Share it with your pastors. Share it with your friends. Share it with your neighbors. Share it all over the internet. And let's all start having a discussion. And I'll see you in my next video when I share with you the spiritual ladder, the Kundalini, and how Jay meant by casting thy nets to the right side to catch 153 fish. Until next time, this is Perspective is Everything.